why people who've had both COVID and COVID vaccines often seem to get the sickest. And it has to do with what's seen in these immunofluorescent images, something called fibrin.
So we're designed all to make fibrin. Fibrin's one of the first kind of response mechanisms.
Forms a clot if you're injured or
it's
something?
like trauma, infection, all those kind of things. You're going to make fibrin as a response to that. But the fibrin you usually make is, again, like spaghetti that just came out of the colander. But the fibrin that you make in response to the spike protein that's associated with COVID and the vaccine is kind of like burnt spaghetti with cheese in it that you have to get a Brillo pad and get it off the bottom of a casserole dish with. And in that sense, that's why it's so unique. It's resistant to being broken down. Literally everyone, when they have the spike protein exposure from either the vaccine or from the infection, you're going to make some of these amyloid fibrin. The question is who can get rid of them? And if you can't get rid of them, they sludge up the small vessels and inhibit the delivery of substrates. And those are things like red blood cells, which carry oxygen. In this case, if you can't get oxygen to tissues, you're going to have significant dysfunction at every level. Again,
Dr. Vaughn is drawing from emerging research, and some of the research is confirming his own conclusions. Yale researchers recently reported persistent symptoms after vaccination, long vax, are similar to those reported with long COVID. Science magazine writes, rare link between coronavirus vaccines and long COVID-like illness starts to gain acceptance. According to CDC, COVID vaccines instruct the patient's cells to make the same spike protein that's in COVID.
This small RNA sequence, when injected into the muscle, initiates the production of spike proteins.
The spike proteins, some scientists now say, are apparently causing damage through microclots months or years later. Back in December of 2020, a chilling foreshadowing from a Harvard-affiliated pediatric specialist. In a letter to the FDA just before the first vaccines hit the market, Dr. Patrick Whelan wrote, it appears that the viral spike protein created after COVID vaccines is also one of the key agents causing the damage to distant organs. He called for more research and warned it would be vastly worse if hundreds of millions of people were to suffer long-lasting or even permanent damage to their brain or heart microvasculature, small vessels, as an unintended effect of vaccines.
And I think the silver lining of this is we're going to really start to understand what is happening there at the tissue level. You're basically not getting oxygen out to the tissues. Those tissues can be anything from your brain to your vision to your ability to take a big deep breath, all the way down to whether you can run or do other things. And the problem is when something affects every system, it's a little different to address it, and it takes kind of somebody who can put the pieces of the puzzle together.